Hello everybody, Dan Lucas from Credo here, and welcome to our 50 States and 50 Days video. And today we are on day 32. And that's because Minnesota was the 32nd state admitted to the Union, and it was admitted on May 11th, 1858. Minnesota's a great state. A lot of fun things to do. It is cold, but they have a ton of lakes, so there's a ton of outdoors things to do. There's a ton of fun things to do in the winter. I've been up there like snowmobiling, doing other kind of winter sports. I mean, Minnesota's great, really fun. And actually, even though it's in the far north and it's very cold, it's actually one of the fittest states, one of the healthiest states. Just a lot of people are very active there. So anyway, I'm gonna toot the horn for Minnesota on that one. Okay, Minnesota tax credits and incentives. So Minnesota does not have a huge list. In fact, I would say they probably have a smaller list than most, but it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's because they don't have a lot of red tape and bureaucracy and trading that goes on politically, and so you don't have 8,000 credits that nobody can understand, and they're just little niche things, and maybe some of them are not even relevant anymore. So it's not always a bad thing. That being said, it makes it a little easier for the business owner, the entrepreneur, the self-employed, because you don't have to wrap your arms around so many things. So I think they have some very good credits. They're not they're common types credits that you see in the states. Some of them are federal too, where you're double dipping on them. But all in all, they have a pretty. It's not stingy. I think they're a pretty good quality over quantity type program. Okay, in Minnesota. So let's first talk about something called Launch Minnesota, and it's an innovation grant program, and let's see, you can get $35,000 for R&D or innovation, let's call it, for direct business expenses and technical assistance. Wow. You can get as much as $7,500 for housing and childcare expenses, or you can get as much as $50,000 in matching grants for if your business receives funding through small business innovation research or small business technology transfer programs. So not a lot of states have grant programs like this. Okay, so this is really neat to start off with. It's not an incentive. Well, it is an incentive, but it's not a tax credit, I know, but I'm putting it in here because it's just relevant to anybody that would want to know more about tax credits. I'm assuming you like money, you like keeping it in your pocket, so that's why I'm talking about these grants. You can get one of each of these grants over the program's 2-year cycle. Okay, and you have to apply for them in advance. Okay, so know that. But that's pretty neat. I mean, if I was in Minnesota, I would be applying for that R&D credit all day long to figure out how I can get some money for that. And then for housing or childcare expenses, I have a feeling that's for employees, so I would be looking at that for my people. But if you're in Minnesota and you're in business, I don't know why you wouldn't look at this, because you might very well be able to get a grant, and certainly that's better than coming out of your own pocket. Okay. All right. Next one I want to talk about is the angel credit. So a lot of states have angel or seed capital investor type credits. So if you're investing in a business and it's a small business startup, look into this. Don't assume you can't get it. Okay. On the federal level, there's some relief in this area. One of them that's really popular is a qualified small business stock, but I have a whole separate video on that. If you're investing in a small business and you're going to have a capital gain, that can give you a tax-free liquidation up to $10 million capital gain. Not something you're going to want to miss if you're investing in small business. Again, the states let you double dip and piggyback on that a lot, and they call it different things. I mean, I've seen venture fund credit, I've seen seed capital credit, I've seen equity credit, investment credit, angel credit. In Minnesota, they call it the angel credit. And let's see, they give. Oh, so this one is a limited credit. So the state sets aside a certain amount of credits you have to apply for it. So they have looks like I believe this is up to date, but it looks like $10 million in credits available each year. And you have to put at least $7,500 into a business to get it. So, that a lot of family and friends and stuff, they have little partnerships, whatever, or they invest in a startup, and they probably could get this credit. Now, what I would say is that if you're the investor, I would be pushing the founder of the business to get this applied for and to make sure that all of their investors are getting the credit. If you've already invested in a business, I would call up the founder or the person that's in charge of the money at that company and let them know about this to make sure that you can get this, or that they're doing everything they need to be doing to make sure everybody can get it, or that everybody's aware of it, or talk to your other partners about it. Just collaborate and make sure you guys are getting all the credits that are due. You can claim as much as $250,000 per year as a tax credit. That's a lot of dough. If you have a startup business, can you use the angel credit as an incentive for your investors? You betcha. Why you wouldn't do that, I don't know. I would. Okay, so if you're starting up a business, or if you're raising money for a business, and you can do it in a way that all of your investors can qualify for this angel credit, do it. It's going to help you. Okay, next one I want to talk about is the R&D credit. Let's call it the innovation credit, okay? Because the term R&D, a lot of times, research and development, some people have ideas of what that means. I know I did when I first learned about it way back when. It's a huge federal credit. A lot of people miss it. In fact, there's a whole industry set up now because so many people miss it that firms are building an entire firm on just getting people the R&D credit. Again, let's call it innovation credit. Sorry, I misspoke there. Innovation credit. You can double dip if you're in Minnesota. Not every state offers R&D credit against their state income tax. So you get the federal credit, you can get a state credit here. Anything you're doing that's innovative. Okay, so just think about that. It could be a new system, a new process. It could be training. It could be a new way of bottling things. I mean, it's anything that you have invested in that's innovative. Now, don't do this work and then go back and try to get the credit later. Get it all set up in advance. Make sure that there's nothing that you have to do in advance. A lot of times there's paperwork you have to file. A lot of times you have to fulfill certain requirements that might seem trivial and silly, but if you don't do it, you can nullify the whole credit. Could be as simple as just having somebody at the local office stamp your plan or something, and maybe it's just a list of bullet points. Okay, I've seen that before. So don't step in a puddle or something and really miss out on that part of it. So dot I's and cross T's on it. So get your project together that you want to do, and then I would call somebody and look on the website. They have all kinds of Chamber of Commerce. A lot of times there's local Chamber of Commerce that'll help you, or they'll have the Commerce Commission in Minnesota, et cetera, et cetera. I can look that up for you if that helps. If you want me to, no problem, let me know. But yeah, you're going to want to be getting this if you're doing anything innovative. Now, if you're a startup and an entrepreneur, if you're not doing anything innovative, why not, right? I mean, most people are. I mean, most people go into business and they're doing things innovative, and a lot of times you have to be innovative to even stay in business. So you probably are doing something that qualifies. Whether it's worth going after because the dollar amount's there is another topic. But a lot of times I see people do qualify for things. It's just a matter of cost benefit and going after the credit. Okay. They have a historic structure rehabilitation credit. That's pretty simple because it is what it sounds like. If you're a property developer or investor, even a partnership, in this area you can get a refundable tax credit as much as 20% of the cost to rehabilitate a qualifying historic property. The developer of the project must apply to the Minnesota State Historic Preservation Office before any work begins. It's obviously important. Refundable means you don't have to owe tax to get money back. So it's almost like a grant or a subsidy, okay? It is free money. So if you use R&D credits, let's say to knock out all of your income tax, all your state income tax in Minnesota, you can still get this money because you don't have to necessarily use it against tax. They'll give you a check for it, okay? So that's what refundable means. Refundable is awesome. That's the best kind of credit you can have. All right, there's the seed capital investment credit. Okay, here we go. Now, I said there's different words for all this kind of stuff, and sometimes they have different The angel investor credit, there's probably some little differences here in the seed capital investment credit that would allow people to qualify for this one, but maybe not the angel, and vice versa. So this is a non-refundable credit, so you have to owe tax to offset using the credit. And it applies to investments made in qualified businesses in certain border cities. Okay, there we go. So certain border cities, that's a requirement. The credit is equal to 45% of your investment, as much as $112,500 per year. Okay, that's real money. And the business must be certified by deed. So this one is so the other angel investor credit, first of all, it's a carve out of a certain amount of credit that the state can give, right? Once they run out, they're out. This one doesn't have that type of limitation, but it has requirements, so it's very targeted to a certain area. So if you are, look up the certain border cities part is what I would do, and start from there, because that's the biggest requirement. Now, if it's a qualified business, that's great, but if it's not in a border city that's on the list of qualifying cities for the seed capital investment credit, what's the point? I would look that up and say, hey, I am invested in one of these, or I'm thinking about investing in one of these, or I'm thinking about where I'm going to set up my shop, and set it up there. I mean, you double dip on the angel investor credit and the seed capital investment. A lot easier to raise capital that way as well. All right, there's agricultural asset owners credit. This is not an atypical credit. It's non-refundable, so you have to owe tax to use it. And it is available to actually qualifying individuals, trusts, or flow-through entities who rent or sell agricultural property or machinery to new farmers in Minnesota. State rural finance must approve the application. So, that's probably a lot of big businesses, I'm assuming, but there's also, a lot of small businesses around that rent equipment. And so if you're renting equipment, et cetera, you obviously need to be looking into this. If you are, if you're renting the equipment from somebody, it doesn't look like you would qualify, but there's a lot of people in Minnesota that are in this business. And if you're selling or renting anything in that area, it doesn't have to necessarily be huge expensive stuff, right? But if you're in that business, or maybe you're in repairing the equipment and every now and then renting it out, or reselling it because you fix it up and flip it, you obviously need to be looking at this, because it's a pretty big credit. Let's see, they have something called the beginning farmers credit. That's obviously only applicable to people in farming, and there's obviously a lot of federal credits for farming, but in Minnesota, don't miss the state credits. I mean, a lot of people they get the federal credits and they pat themselves on the back, which is great because you're still ahead of most people, but you're missing the state credits too. So if you're farming, I don't know, if you're farming cannabis, you might qualify, okay? If you're growing something, look up these credits. It doesn't take but a few minutes just to see if you think, see that some of the specific requirements to say, yeah, I think I might qualify, or no, I probably don't qualify. So look it up. That's what these videos are all about, is I'm trying to just get awareness that these credits are out there, and I just don't see people taking them. I mean, it is rare that people are taking credits that they qualify for. It's just sitting right there. It's just money on the ground, and people are just ignoring it. So that's what I'm trying to do, is get this out there. Let's see, so that's it for Minnesota, actually. So good credits. I mean, good credits, some typical credits, piggybacking on some of the federal credits. If you've got any questions about these credits, give us a comment. If you have any information about these credits or further commentary, more than welcome. I just want to get the information out there. So if there's anything I might have said or misquoted that you want to correct, please do so. I mean, my goal is just to get this information out there as accurately as possible and get some awareness and knowledge out there that people may not have before they watch this video, and they now have it. So again, if we can do anything to help you, give us a question. We'll do it on a case-by-case basis. But other than that, this is Minnesota. So if you're in Minnesota, happy business to you, and hopefully you can get some credits. And if you need help, let us know. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.